Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature. It is time for some more Cryxian Necrotech fun. And today I've got the new Auxiliary expansion boxed set. So, what's the difference between this and all the other box sets we've seen at this point? Well, this one's kind of interesting in that it's supposed to be a purely expansionary force. Do you have to do it that way? Of course not. I'd also like to point out that this is the largest of the boxes, at least for Cryx so far, that we've seen. Now, what's kind of neat about this, we still have a new warcaster, Necrofactorium or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. But we have one solo model, the Iron Warlock. That sounds right. But then we also have these... God, I forgot what they're called. I'll double check in a little bit. We have these kind of horse-headed scything creatures, but more importantly, we've got brute thralls and bile thralls back for some new fun. We have a QR code down here if you want to check it out yourself, so it's kind of worth saving all of these big kind of header cards, not only for painting reference, but if you want to see what exactly you're getting yourself into there. So, you'll notice that there is no warjack at all in this box. That's one of the big differences between the command box, which is kind of to get you started really with a lot of options, or the battle box, which is supposed to just kind of get you right out of the package and out the gate into an actual game. This is purely a expansive force. This is all supposed to be stuff that you're going to add to your Cryxian repertoire. Now, some of these boxes, if my memory serves, are going to be empty, and they're just there as filler and ballast. Did I win the no prize? I sure did. This one is empty. Let's find out what's in box number 2, then. Alright. I'm getting texts from my child. But of course, as soon as I finish, they need me to go get them. What else is new? Hopefully they win their game. What do we have in here to start things off? Ooh, the Iron Warlock. Now, I feel like I had this similar model back in the day of War Machine Mark II. I do appreciate the fact that we have a slot already installed there. I don't have to fight with trying to figure out how to get him to be on that base. Obviously, we can put some filler around him to build it up. And you'll notice that these bases are blank. I want to say it was the starter set actually had the Steamforged game SFG logo on it, whereas these are blank. I wonder if these are just kind of remainder of models that were moving from Privateer on to Steamforged. I have no idea, not that it makes much difference. I feel like there is going to be a little bit more cleanup necessary on this guy, just tiny little things. It's always recommended to have a nice, sharp hobby knife when it comes to this stuff. I do like the head just kind of floating there in the armor. And I've said it before with almost every Cryx release, and I'll continue to say it until the end of time, basically, is that these models are absolutely fantastic for all sorts of other games. If ever there was a faction from the Iron Kingdoms that could hang out other places in the tabletop, it would 100% be Cryx, and maybe Khador, and Signar. Okay. These aren't the Furies, I know that, because the Furies we already had before. What the heck are these things called? I cannot remember. But here's our 3, and I don't even say person, because they're not really people. They're like animal-headed ghost thingies, for lack of a better term. And they're all going to be on 50mm bases. They're not much bigger than our Iron Warlock. But that's okay. Oh no, somebody lost an arm in the process. It would be you, my friend. Okay. I'm assuming it's going to go like that. That's just one of those unfortunate realities, but it should be, look at that, nice, smooth, seamless repair, drop a glue in there, we should be good. If you want to go really hardcore and put a little bit of liquid resin in there and try to UV light it, that'd probably work too. At first I thought I had a tongue, and then I realized that's the lower jaw. Thought I had attachments added to it there or something. So thankfully this doesn't look as bad as some of the other Cryx models in terms of trying to get a paintbrush in between all of the various junk hanging around, floating around. This guy's going to have some cleanup issues there. At least we've got access to get to the underside and get things painted. These might see some playtime in homebrew games of whatever with my Nighthaunt models. I really like the floaty, ethereal, raggedy spirit aesthetic meets evil steampunk of Cryx. And the Necrofactorium faction, sub-faction, absolutely seems to be leaning into that. Just for your reference, in case you're curious how big these are, typical GW human. You can see our Iron Lich is a good head or two taller than him there. So these are going to be some big bad models. Let's see what's in our other boxes. I'm very curious to see how big the new Thralls are. Little piece of something. I always wanted Brute Thralls. Those were one of those model sets I never had. I had plenty of the Bane guys. Bane Knights, I never cared for their spears. Bane Warriors, you better believe I had plenty. Okay, here's our Bile Thralls. Everybody is a single piece, and everybody is going to be on a 40mm base. They're a lot bigger and meaner looking than I remember them. I kind of remember big, pot-bellied fat guys with slime-dripping weaponry. I don't remember the chainsaws. This looks a lot more heavy-handed, and again, I mean, almost, you could probably get away with painting this guy up and throwing him in, like, Necromunda or something, and it wouldn't look that out of place. One of the other cool things about these new versions of them is the fact that none of them are the same. We have significant differences between each and every member of the unit. Hooray for that. That drove me nuts with the old models. You can see they're all still designed with the slotted base in mind. They're all on 40s, which I think I already said. Want to use them for obliterators or something? Slap them on a bigger base and you might just be able to do that. I mean, I'm going to be practical. Even if I don't get around to playing multiple games of War Machine, I've always enjoyed the models, always enjoyed painting and building and collecting them. And worst case scenario, if I can't find an opponent for one game, we'll use them with an opponent from another. Alright, these are the Brute Thralls. So you'll notice also on 40mm bases, big punchy fists, which I am all about. If you've ever had the misfortune of having to play a game with me, you'll know that I like to close in quick and hit things until they die. No lame magic-y shenanigans for me. It's all about just getting things going. That looks like a bit of a misprint, I think. Like, I don't even know. Looks like it's supposed to be a wire there that didn't print correctly. I'm just going to clip it. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. It happens sometimes. Is it worth requesting a new figure? Nah. I'm not going to stress. I mean, these guys look so foreign from a typical human at this point, you could probably get away with using them as some kind of an alien race. Love all the wires and everything on them. They're also nowhere near as heavy as the original figures. Again, none of them in a similar pose. Most of their armor and stuff, the heads, completely different. So that's kind of neat to see. And then finally, we've got our warcaster for this package. Alright, let's see what we got here. Our warcaster, also on a 40mm base. In fact, outside the command box, I think is the only one I've seen on a 30mm. so far. So this figure is in 2 separate pieces. We get the joy and challenge of trying to get everything underneath there painted, which I am not a big fan of. I personally would have rather had the base as a separate part than this. That's just my own personal preference, and I'll probably toot my horn to Steamforged at some point, offering my 2 cents. Not that it'll make a huge difference. And then, how do I put them together? I don't know. So he's kind of interesting in that looks to be a very pig-like head underneath that hood there. It's a very small hood. He actually does have hands that are holding these crazy sickle things. Again, the crazy tatters almost make me think of like a Raging Heroes figure, which honestly I consider that a compliment in terms of design. I really like a lot of the Raging Heroes stuff. Let me get some blue tack and see how he looks. Alright, so he's got some presence to him, both with the giant crazy sickles, with his tattered robes flying everywhere, the fact that I can't even get everything on screen. It's going to make for an interesting profile, and I think especially when you compare it to some of the other Cryxian stuff. I'll be honest, this is probably of the 3 boxes, not counting all of the, weird little individual stuff that they put out. There is another box that I have not picked up yet, but if you notice, I actually filmed all of these relatively close together. I've just been kind of doling them out just to space things out, because I don't think everybody wants to see all War Machine models all the time. I could be wrong, and if I am, by all means, let me know. But I really, really like the crazy floaty aesthetic that the Necrofactorium have going on. One of the things I've always liked about Cryx, especially when it's kind of meshed with that distinct, biomechanical, machine look. If they're going to go all with that, I mean, honestly, that's why I keep picking up these releases. So that is absolutely fine by me, and I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing more of this kind of stuff from everybody's favorite undead faction, if you want to count them as undead. So again, very nice looking profile of the models, except I don't even have a brute there. We have our solos, we have our units, we got our new caster. Got a little bit of everything in this, and especially if you have access to one of the other box sets, you really are going to have a lot to play around with in terms of options. And in a game like War Machine, options are always one of the best parts. So hopefully you see something that looks like it might, tick off that box that you're going to need to smack up your opponents or add to your various gaming systems, because it looks like it's absolutely cool, and I absolutely am going to be doing that myself, at least for the time being, until I can get some people caught up with Mark IV. I think the Cryx stuff is going to be really cool in that regard. So, with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.